Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Prashant Kumar. We are discussing about the social science topics of 10th standard. Today, let us discuss about Indian physiography. So India is a great country, as you know. It is called a subcontinent because it is having all the features which a continent is having. It is it includes mountains, plateau, plains, valleys, coastal plain, everything it is, and it influences the river system, climate, natural vegetation, land use, agriculture, transport, distribution of population, etc. All this. Let us discuss about the Indian physiography in that in our lower class you studied physical divisions of India. Let us discuss about the physical divisions of India. The total country, the whole country was divided into four divisions. They are the northern mountains, the northern Great Plain, the Peninsular Plate, the coastal plains and islands. So these are the four divisions. So today let us discuss about these four divisions. First of all, let us take the northern mountains. As you know, the northern mountains is immediately we bring the picture of Himalaya in front of our eyes. So that Himalayas, the group of young fold mountains, extended the continuous chain along the northern boundaries of India. And many highest peaks of the world we can see here. And we can see many valleys, gorges, glaciers, passes, everything is here. And it extends from Indus Gorge to Brahmaputra Gorge. Here see, from Indus Gorge to Brahmaputra Gorge this mountain extends. And it is 2400 kilometers long and width it is 240 to 320 kilometers. So here if you observe in the western side it is wide, and when we move towards the east it is narrow. So let us discuss about the northern mountain. So here this northern mountain is divided into three parallel ranges. One Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas another one, and Shivalik Hills. First of all, let us discuss about the Greater Himalayas. So this Greater Himalayas is also known as Himadri. So these mountains, the mountains here in the Greater Himalayas having average 6,100 meters height. And in that, Mount Everest, as you know, Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. It is having 8,848 meters height. It lies between Nepal and Tibet, not in India, but in Himalayas. Other than this, some other mountains like Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Dhaulagiri, Manaslu, Nanda Devi, these are the highest peaks here. These are all having more than 8,000 meters height. And it is having some glaciers. Gangotri and Yamunotri are the important glaciers in the Himadri. And Burzil, Lozila, Shibkila, these are the passes, mountain passes which exist in Greater Himalaya or Himadri. And here another one we have to notice, to the northwest side of Himadri, we are having the mountain range that is called Trans-Himalayas. What are Trans-Himalayas? The mountains northwest of Himadri. In this mountain range, Trans-Himalayas, Mount K2 or Mount Godwin Austen is located? That is the highest mountain peak in India. Highest mountain peak in the world, Mount Everest. Highest mountain peak in India, Mount K2 or Mount Godwin Austen. So this is Greater Himalaya. Second layer or second parallel range of northern mountain is Lesser Himalaya. This is also called as Himachal. The average height of the mountains in this Himachal is 1500 to 4500 meter. Minimum 1500 and highest 4500 meters height. Here some mountain ranges like Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar, Nagatibba, Mussoorie, Mahabharat and Darjeeling. These are some mountain ranges. And this is famous for valleys, mountain valleys, very famous for its scenic beauty like Kashmir, Kangra, Kulu, etc. And the hill stations here which attract the tourists, the very famous hill stations here in Himachal. And remember, hill stations are located in Himachal. Shimla, Ranikhet, Mussoorie, Nainital and Darjeeling are the main hill stations located in Himachal. So this is about Himachal. And the third parallel range is Shivalik Hills. Shivalik Hills also called as the Outer Himalaya. This Outer Himalaya is having a 600 to 1500 meters height mountains. Actually, Shivaliks are formed by the deposition of materials brought down by the rivers which took birth in Himalayas. Imagine how many years it took to form these mountains. The foothills, Outer Himalaya or foothills of Himalaya. And here in this Shivalik, some flat bottom structured valleys are there. Flat bottom structured valleys, they are called as dunes. Example, Dehradun. Dunes are flat bottom structured valleys. So this is about Lesser Himalayas. Now we have to discuss about very important part of this one, importance of Himalaya. What is the importance? How Himalaya is useful for us? So one by one let us see. Himalayas acts as natural frontiers and protect foreign invasion, protect India from foreign invasion. Natural wall, it acts as wall or fort, it acts as fort. And it prevents cold wind from Central Asia. Central Asia chilly cold wind is blowing. If Himalaya not there, full North India becomes the cold desert, covered by full cold desert. But Himalaya protected that. And which obstruct rain-bearing winds and cause heavy rainfall. Monsoon winds of that Bay of Bengal branch hit to the Himalayas and bring heavy rainfall to North India. If Himalaya not there, these clouds will go towards north, and in North India would not have get or will not get the rainfall. Thick forests of these Himalayas are ideal for plantation crops like tea. Assam tea, very famous, and also some crops like in Kashmir, saffron, kesar, very famous. And these Himalayas are the storehouse of minerals and birthplace of many rivers. And these rivers, perennial rivers are there from the Himalaya, they are coming and they create waterfalls. These waterfalls are very useful to generate hydroelectricity. So these are the importance of Himalaya. Other than this, some other also we can say like medicinal plants are there. It's very useful. And many tourist places are there, especially valleys, hill stations attract tourists. These are some other importance of Himalaya. Next division, physical division of India. that is the northern Great Plain. So here, as you know, northern Great Plain formed by the deposition of alluvial soil by rivers. The rivers which take birth Himalaya, they bring alluvial soil, alluvium or alluvial soil, and they deposit that one in the northern plain. It's a very fertile soil. There was full northern plain formed by that one. There, Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra. So these rivers are there. Many other tributaries of these rivers also there. They bring alluvial soil. And this northern plain, Great Plain, is the largest alluvial tract in the world. That much big one, nowhere else. So this is the northern Great Plain. Its length is 2,500 kilometers, nearly 7 lakh square kilometer area covered by this one. So now let us discuss about the importance of Northern Great Plain. It is also called as economic importance. So this Northern Great Plain is suitable for irrigation and agriculture as it has a perennial rivers and fertile soil. Alluvial soil is very fertile. Fertile soil is there. Perennial rivers always filled with water. Water is there. River is there. That's why it is very suitable for irrigation and agriculture. And it is having a level land which supports a network of roads, railways and communication. And so water facility, river, level land, communication facility is there, transport facility is there. That's why it is useful for industrialization and urbanization and also useful for trade. And many pilgrim centers are located in this area. That's why for pilgrimage also very famous. These are the importance of Northern Great Plain. Next, let us see about Peninsula Plate. In the Peninsula Plate, so here it is the largest physical division among the four: Northern Mountains, Northern Great Plain, Peninsula Plate and Coastal Region. In this Peninsula Plate is the largest and it is the oldest also. It covered 16 lakh square kilometers. And it is almost a triangle in shape. And it is covered by the mountains. You can see here Aravalis are there. Here Rajmahal Hills are there. And here Western Ghats. And here Eastern Ghats. So these hills and this whole peninsula plate is divided by Vindhya and Satpura mountain range and Narmada river. Is a Deccan plate. Is a northern plate here. So totally it is covered by mountains. It's like a tableland. And here if you go to Aravali Hills, there Guru Shikara is the highest peak in the Mount Abu range, Abu Hills. And Vindhya mountains, Satpura mountain ranges are there. And here in the Western Ghat, some passes are there. They are Barghat, Talghat and Palghat passes. And here we have to see very important one. If you come to south here in Deccan Plate, Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. Here, so we have a very important one. Commonly in the exam also they will ask about this. Difference between Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. Here I wrote Western Ghat in the west side and Eastern Ghat in the eastern side because to remember it is very easy. So it is near to the sea. Western Ghat is near to the sea and Eastern Ghat away from the sea. You can see here this Western Ghat is very near to the sea. This is away from the sea. And see here it is continuous. Western Ghat is continuous. But Eastern Ghat is divided by river valleys. So you can see here it is continuous. But here, see here Godavari, see here Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. These rivers flow here. So this Eastern Ghat divided by river valleys. And Western Ghat is higher than Eastern Ghat. The height of the Western Ghat is more compared to Eastern Ghat. Eastern Ghat is lower than Western Ghat. And in the Western Ghat, highest peak is Anemudi, M-U-D-I, sorry. And Eastern Ghat, highest peak is Armakonda. So these are the difference between Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. And you can add this one also from where to where it extended, but it is enough this much. Next, importance of peninsular plate, economic importance. And here see the plate region. It is very rich in minerals, and thick forests are there. As I told, many hills are there covered by hills. Thick forests, which is famous for biodiversity. And the black soil is useful for agriculture. And river of Western Ghats are useful for generation of hydroelectricity. And river, many waterfalls are there like Jog, etc. So they are very useful for generation of hydroelectricity. And like Himalayas, here also many hill stations you can observe, and it is known for its hill stations. These are the importance of peninsular plate. Next, let us move to the coastal plain. Here in the coastal plain, two coasts we have, eastern coast and western coast. Let us see the difference between western coast and eastern coast. Western coast lies between Western Ghat and Arabian Sea, but eastern coast lies between Eastern Ghat and Bay of Bengal. And Western Ghat stretch from Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari, eastern coast river Subarnarekha to Kanyakumari. And Western Ghat is narrow, steep and rocky, but Eastern Ghat is broad and wide. And Western Ghat is divided into Konkan coast, Karnataka coast and Malabar coast. So here you can see this western coast divided into here in Kerala Malabar coast, in Karnataka coast, and Goa, Maharashtra, etc. Konkan coast. And eastern coast, here northern part, your river Krishna and Godavari delta is, And north to that, here this area is called as Northern Sarkars or Utkal coast. And here in southern part, in Tamil Nadu areas, it is a Coromandel coast. And another feature in the eastern coast, you can observe some lagoons are there. What is lagoon? Saltwater lakes are called as lagoons. So Chilka, Pulicat, Kolero, etc. are the lagoons which found in the eastern coastal region. So this is about coastal region. Then importance of coastal plain. So these coastal plains having natural harbors. Some natural harbors like Marmagova, Kochi, Vishakhapatnam, Kolkata, etc. Mumbai. And another one, these coastal plains are very famous for fishing, shipbuilding, agriculture and production of salt. And the beaches of famous beaches of these coastal plains attract the tourists. And the backwaters of this coastal region are useful for navigation. So these are the importance of coastal plain. Next, the last one, that is islands of India. As you know, in India many islands are there. Total 247 islands are there in India. Some islands are in Arabian Sea, some islands are in Bay of Bengal. In Arabian Sea, total 43 islands are there. There are Lakshadweep islands, name Lakshadweep, but only 43 islands are there. But in Bay of Bengal, 204 islands are there, 204 islands. They are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And Arabian Sea, the Lakshadweep Islands are made of coral islands. And Andaman Nicobar Islands are made of volcanic rocks. So these are the differences. And this is about islands of India. So today we discussed about the natural divisions or physical divisions of India. So we have to respect it, and we have to preserve the nature, and we have to preserve the natural beauty of India. It is our duty also. So the last, thank you very much.